Good morning. Hey, you guys. So just really quickly, we're going to do a little chat, we do a little reading, and then we'll do a meditation. So hopefully you can hang in for that. A couple of quick things. If you enjoy the meditation, I'm just doing it kind of as an experiment on my morning readings. If you enjoy it, say so. You know, if you get to it, if you're going all the way to the end to the meditation, or even if you skip ahead and join it with the meditation, let me know how that is for you. Say yes, I like the meditation or not, or I'm staying for it. Good. A couple of quick things. You know, I I was reading a piece last night, and my message or a note in Facebook. There's a city councillor here in town, Evan Woolley. Some of you will know Evan. And Evan was, kind of spanking one of the other councillors because of that councillor's insensitivity to things that are going on in the world and around a number of different areas. And I won't get into that, but the one that Evan did speak about was around addiction. And, because the counselor's view is that addiction is a choice. And, maybe in the beginning for some, they had the power of choice, but then they're not addicts. When the addict goes crosses the line into addiction, then many of us didn't even recognize that we passed the line. For me personally, I believe I was an addict. I drank alcoholically from day one, 13 or 14 years old, day one, and I drank to oblivion, and I in the beginning it was fun. It was like, wow, this is so great, but soon it became a solution, and so no matter what was happening in my life, two thoughts would come. One is, that would bring relief, and the other is that it wouldn't be as bad this time. I wouldn't get in trouble. I wouldn't, I would quit sooner. I wouldn't drink till everything was gone. These thoughts of it'll be different this time. And those are the thoughts of the alcoholic and the addict, that this will be different. Is that right? So that's the mental illness part of it. I didn't realize that I had a mental illness, that, I couldn't differentiate the truth from the false. A person who, there's an example in the big book about the jaywalker, and anybody can see that, if you were a jaywalker and you got run over a couple of times, you'd just stop, you'd like, that's crazy, and you'd stop. And the same thing with the alcoholic or the addict, you'd think that the addict or the alcoholic would say, that's enough, I'm done, that's stuff's killing me, but we lose the power of choice. It's as simple as that. We lose the power of choice, and we may have that power of choice in other things in our life. We may be even reasonably successful in other areas of our life. But so the counselor that Evan was speaking about just doesn't understand the disease, and I get that. I get that. Because even recovered alcoholics and addicts don't get it sometimes when they're looking at other alcoholics and addicts. We say, oh, Jesus, what's the matter with him? He had 6 months. What happened? It's hilarious because we forget that was us. Once we get a little more comfortable and we get, we get things are going well, and we look at our buddy and he goes back out and we think, fuck, what's wrong? Stupid ass. We forget that it's a mental illness. Even the alcoholic and the addict forgets that it's a mental illness. And the only solution that we've found, generally therapy doesn't work for us because we lie to the therapist. We can't tell them the truth. We protect our solution, which is the drug or alcohol. And it can be other things, too, that we're addicted to. I mean, gambling, work, sex, the list goes on and on, and we fall back into these behaviors because that's our go-to in times of restless, irritable discontentness. So it was interesting because in the middle of the conversation, it was quite a thread. I was reading the thread. It was interesting to me. I know that Evan's brother had passed away from opiates, and I knew him, Cameron, and so Evan has firsthand knowledge. He understands, the disease to a certain degree, and I have empathy for families when they lose, a son or a brother. It's tough. It's like, holy shit, that's close to home, but somebody came on and said, it's ridiculous that the alcoholic should be able to, the addict should be able to make a choice, and it's just, that misunderstanding is what keeps many of us away from the possibility of ever getting better. Because, what we need, according to Gustav Jung, one of the fathers of modern psychology, Jung said that we needed a complete psychic change. So what happens in the 12-step world, and what happens with everything that I'm speaking about, is that we find a power greater than ourselves. And even in that search, I work with so many young men and young women, and even in the search, it's so hard because the mind is in the back saying, yeah, but, right? It's in the back saying, yeah, I got to, but we have to be convinced that we cannot run our own lives, that we have to find a new source of our power. We have to find a whole new way to live. And in the 12-step world, what happens is we recognize that we're selfish and self-centered. That's kind of the nature of the problems. We can't change that on our own. We just can't, because it's like stamped in. We need a complete wape, like a new, not just new software, new operating system. And that happens in the 12-step world. That's what happens, is we get a new operating system, and we're plugged into a higher power as a result of that. And we stop trying to make our own decisions. So we get restless and irritable. We don't want to hear that, right? It's hard to even hear. We're like, the new addict, and especially, when I sobered up years ago, we were dealing mostly with alcoholism, and now we have, meth. And meth heads don't make it. A lot of times they don't make it. They have to fight to make it. They have to desperately want it. They have to desperately want it. And it talks, the same with alcoholics too, but it's just, it's disheartening. It really is. But every once in a while we have successes. People make it, they live, they have amazing lives because of a recovery program. So if you're not in recovery, if you maybe don't understand the addict or the alcoholic, talk to me. We'll chat about it, and because all of us are, there's so much shame around it. Everybody has an uncle or cousin that that they don't talk about because he's in jail, and because that's where we end up. We either end up in an institution or we die, or we get recovery. Those are the three options for the addict and the alcoholic, period. And it costs our society millions. So keeping the addict and the alcoholic stoned by giving them free drugs, it is actually not the idea. It's just like is that, I don't know what kind of care that is, but when you have a really old person who's you're just kind of keeping alive until they die, that ambulatory care, is it what it's called? But that's kind of what it is with the alcoholic and the addict. But there is a way out. There really is a way out. I think we all have to be on the same boat. And I love what this province is doing. Actually, in Alberta, they recognize that the recovery program, the 12-step recovery program, is what works. And psychic change, complete psychic change. That's it. It's my rant today. I'm on it a bit, because I see it around me too. I see it with the guys I'm working with, and they get a couple of days of clean and sober under their belt, and they're like, I'm going to go back to run the show. And yes, your addiction starts with your thoughts. Of course it does, you know. And the thing is, so that thought, Toby, sometimes leads us to this idea that we should be able to manage our own thoughts. And history, experience tells us we can't, you know. Bill Wilson, you know, smart guy, recognized, you know, after years of struggling and going to treatment centers, and that he just could not, you know, no matter how badly he wanted, you know, the alcoholic or the addict who, you know, 2 days after a big bender says, I'm done. If you gave him a lie detector test, he'd be telling the truth. In his mind, he was done. You know, 3 days later, he's having a drink, and it's not choice. It's beyond their control, beyond my control. When I was there, you know, and then I learned other addictions after. But yes, great. Well, thanks, Kaylee. Love you. Thank you. So we're going to read a little bit, and part of why I read this every day is because we need repetition. You know, we grow with repetition. You know, we hang with the winners. You know, and we grow from being in the company, right? Just hand it over, surrender, absolutely, and then be in the company of those that are staying sober. Like, that's why, you know, the beautiful thing that this province designated the 12-step meetings as essential service. It's a safety net, a volunteer safety net, but a safety net that saves, you know, millions of us have got recovery because of it. And for a while during COVID, we didn't have a place to go because the churches, you know, all shut down and we couldn't go, and they said no, and we've had to scramble to find new locations, and because the face-to-face works, the Zoom for many doesn't work. It's very difficult to transmit the energy of love, because that's really what it is. It is the energy of love. Loving the alcoholic and the addict lifts us up, and so anyway, I think that's it for my rant today. Love you guys, and so, you know, it doesn't mean if you have an alcoholic or an addict in your life, I suggest go to Al-Anon. Al-Anon is like a brother or sister group in the 12-step world, and it's for families of alcoholics and addicts. And I'll tell you a quick story. When I was just before I sobered up, my brother who was sober and was working with me, and his buddy Rick said to me one day, you know what, you should go to Al-Anon. I was a full-on addict and alcoholic, and you should go to Al-Anon. You have lots of alcoholics in your family. You should go. And I thought, wow, maybe well. I already knew that I was an alcoholic, but I hadn't been going to meetings yet. So I went to Al-Anon, and at that time, in the very, very early days, I knew that I was in the wrong meeting for me. I needed to go to AA. Years later, as my kids and you know, I have lots of family that have problems with drugs and alcohol, and I went to Al-Anon. You know, in recovery I've been, and it's sweet. It's really amazing recovery. So I really suggest it. You know, if you have an alcoholic or an addict in your family, a child, you know, a husband or a wife, go to Al-Anon and see what's there for you. Okay, November 6th. Gosh, I got to get going. Here we go. November 6th. Thought for the day. Fear and worry had me down. They were increased by my drinking. Fear and worry had me down. They were increased by my drinking. I worried about what I had done when I was drunk. I was afraid of what the consequences might be. I was afraid to face people because of the fear of being found out. Fear kept me in hot water all the time. I was a nervous wreck from fear and worry. I was tied up bundle of nerves. You know, restless, irritable, and discontent, baby. I was tied up bundle of nerves. I had a fear of failure, of the future, of growing old, of sickness, of hangovers, of suicide. I had the wrong set of ideas and attitudes. When AA told me to surrender these fears and worries to a higher power, I did so. I now try to think faith instead of fear. Have I put faith in place of fear? So, just so you know, we're reading from the 24-Hour Day book. It's an older text written in 1954. the early days of the society of the 12-step world. Meditation for the day. Spiritual power is God in action. God can only act through human beings. Whenever a man, however weak he may be, allows God to act through him, then all he thinks and says and does is spiritually powerful. It is not he alone who produces a change in the lives of others. It is also the divine spirit in him working through him. Power is God in action. God can use you as a tool to accomplish miracles in people's lives. Isn't that beautiful? So one of the things that happens in the 12-step world is we give it away. If you have an alcoholic who tells you he's in 12-step and he's not sponsoring, he's not working with new guys, he's not doing it, and we've got to be giving it away somewhere, and that's the glue that holds it all together, caring for others. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may try to let God's power act through me today. I pray that I may get rid of those blocks that keep his power from me. Those blocks are what we deal with in step 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 10 on a regular basis, and 8 and 9 too. So those steps are how we get rid of the blocks. All right, I yacked quite a bit here. Well, Kayla, you don't have to sort it out alone. You said you're just trying to sort it out. Sort through how to be effective when these people walk through my shop door. Okay, great. Let's talk some more offline. I'd love to support you. Okay, so now we're going to meditate a little bit. Can you find a spot where you're sitting, you're comfortable? Yes, you recognize that. One of the things that happens with the meditation is we can drop into that space where we're connected to the moment. And where do we find this higher power, this God, this universal intelligence? We find it in the moment. We don't find it in the past, right? We don't find it in the past. We can't find it in the future. It's now. This universal intelligence, this power that we are all of us want to have access to. First of all, for many of us, we have to realize that our own thinking isn't enough. And to be dependent on our thoughts all the time, often, we're in trouble. For me, anyway. I mean, I'm in recovery, but the alcoholic or the addict is still there in a way in my thinking. I can soon be in selfish thinking. So I just have to recognize that the more I'm connected to this source, to God as I understand him, the less likely I am to go to selfish, fearful thinking and trying to control the moment and trying to, in fear about finances or all of those things. There's the practical, but anyway. So here we go. We're going to close our eyes. We're just going to drop in through our breath. Make sure you're comfortable, that your back is supported. No matter where you are, you can do this anywhere. You can do this on the bus. Don't do it while you're driving. You can, do it on a park bench. You can be in the middle of a busy intersection, or in the middle of a busy city, or middle of a busy house. Just find a space, close your eyes, just breathe, and remember that our breath seems to be the doorway into the moment. There are many. Every moment can be the moment that we come into the moment. But breathe and use the breath to be here now. When I breathe, always through the nose, I like to pause at the bottom and pause at the top just for a second. So just be in your body. Feel and become conscious of your body. Remember, you're not your body. You live in your body. Your body's your vehicle. I am not my body. My body is a beautiful vehicle. As you're sitting, it's the thinking that keeps us from being present. So just let go of all thoughts. Just for a few minutes, we can pick them up later. Just let go of all thoughts, all concepts, all ideas, all beliefs, all stories. Just leave them outside for a moment. Be conscious of sometimes the tendency to fall asleep. Just stay here, be with us. It's only for 10 minutes. When thoughts come up, just let them go. Just let them go. You'll find yourself in a new world, really, a new world of emptiness, freedom, peace, stillness. Feel into that world of stillness. Always coming back to the breath. Thoughts are clouding in, crowding in. We're focused on the breath. We're not in our thoughts. Be the witness of the mind. Remember, you're not your thoughts. Back to the breath. come back now. Didn't quite do 10 minutes, but you get the idea. If you enjoy that we do this every day, let me know. Make a comment. Yeah, I like doing it. It's my practice in the morning. So thank you for joining us today, and love to hear from you. Let's chat. Okay, love you guys. Talk soon. Bye.